Hello students, today I am going to start new chapter. It is reproduction in organism. You know what is reproduction? Reproduction is what? Reproduction is a process. Reproduction is a biological process in which mature organism or mature parents give rise a birth to young ones, and these young ones are same as their parents are. So, the capacity to produce young ones is what? Reproduction. Further, reproduction is divided into two types: asexual reproduction or sexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction is very simple. That is what in which one parent is involved, and the born offsprings during asexual reproduction are the exact copy of the parents, means they are morphologically and genetically similar. This is what the characteristic feature of asexual reproduction. Then the next type is what? Sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction in which organisms are not supposed to be exact copy of their parents. They are genetically similar, but they are not exact copy of their. They morphologically they show a little bit of variation. And what happened during this asexual or sexual reproduction? Parents develop a kind of blueprint. Parents develop a kind of blueprint. Blueprint is what? Earlier in 9th class, you know that inside the cell there is nucleus. Nucleus contains genes, DNA, chromosome. So these genes, DNA, chromosome is what? They are genetic material, and these genetic material transfer from parents to offspring via gametes, or in asexual reproduction when cell is going to divide, then they transfer. So these genetic material is prepare a blueprint that carry the parental information from their parents to offspring, and when this information passes to next generation, then according to the information character develops, and hence offspring produced are same as their parents are. One thing more I would like to tell you, that sexual reproduction is also responsible for to develop various type of variations, and these variations ultimately leads to evolution. I am telling you that during sexual reproduction, male parents and female parents both giving their information of character, they execute in zygote, and in such a way a kind of variation takes place, and this variation ultimately proceed to evolution. What way it will, that I will proceed, that I will tell when sexual reproduction will come. Now first we will talk about asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction is further of so many types, like fission. Fission is of two types: binary fission and multiple fission. Then next is budding. Then spore formation, fragmentation, and regeneration. These are some main types of asexual reproduction. First of all, we will discuss asexual reproduction. What is asexual reproduction? Asexual reproduction is what that I told you earlier. So when one parent is able to produce their young ones, and the produced young ones are exact copy of their parents, or maybe said that they are clones of their parent. So in this asexual reproduction, we will start fission. As I told you earlier, that fission is of two types. One is binary fission and another is multiple fission. First of all, we will discuss about binary fission. Binary fission, when you proceed the chapter, when you proceed the topic in your chapter, then you will find there is an example of binary fission is in amoeba. You know, in this diagram, you are observing that one cell of amoeba is dividing and two daughter cells of amoeba are formed. So when one parental cell divide and two daughter cells are formed, such type of fission is what? Binary fission. This is very important because two main significant steps proceed during this binary fission. In this diagram, you are observing at number 2 of series of number 2 that when amoeba going to divide, first of all you are observing in the diagram number 2 that nucleus is first of all going to divide. So when nucleus is going to divide, this process is known as karyokinesis, because nucleus is also known as karyon. Binary fission, the first is what? Karyokinesis. Karyokinesis means the division of nucleus. Then in the next image you are observing that after division of nucleus, the cytoplasm of the cell is also going to divide. So, and after the completion of karyokinesis and cytokinesis, two daughter cells are formed. So you may be said that karyokinesis is followed by cytokinesis, and after the completion of these two stages, two daughter cells of amoeba, two daughter cells are formed. This is simple binary fission. So one thing more, in this diagram you are observing that when one cell is going to divide, first there is karyokinesis, then there is cytokinesis. So when cytokinesis is going on, means division of cytoplasm is taking place, so a kind of constriction taking place, a kind of constriction arise, and this is what cleavage furrow, and this constriction further develop and ultimately two cell separated, two daughter cell separated. So this is what binary fission. Now the next is multiple fission. Multiple fission, what? When one cell is going to divide in multiples of daughter cell, and this type of asexual reproduction is known as multiple fission. You know, the common example of multiple fission you have seen in variety of plant, especially algae, but here we will discuss multiple fission in a protozoa, that is Plasmodium. Plasmodium vivax malariae falciparum, that is responsible for malaria and so many type of fever. So here we will study multiple fission in Plasmodium. This is what in this diagram you are observing one cell of Plasmodium, when the inner material of this cell, means nucleus and cytoplasm, you are observing that nucleus and cytoplasm inside that cell is going to divide and form multiples of daughter cells, and then after there is a protective layer, there is a arrival, there is a appearance of a protective layer, and this protective layer is further referred as cyst. So what happened during multiple fission? One cell is going to divide in multiple fashion, and the nucleus and cytoplasm of that cell divide repeatedly and form multiple daughter cell, and externally that cell is covered with a protective layer, and this protective layer is what? Cyst. And actually, you know what happened? Multiple fission oftenly taking place in the especially in the unicellular organism when they are facing unfavorable condition. When they are facing unfavorable condition, then they form multiples of daughter cell and they are protected in cyst, and when the favorable conditions come back, then the cyst burst out, as you are observing in the diagram. Cyst burst out, and these multiples of daughter cell release out and develop them in a individual mature daughter cell. So this is what? Multiple fission. Then after this binary fission and multiple fission, the next type is what? Budding. Budding commonly occurred in yeast and hydra. In this diagram that is depicted over here, in which you are observing that from a parental body, a small bud, a kind of granule developing, and it is growing. What happened? Like in yeast and hydra, at particular point, there is a repeated cell division taking place in the organism, where when that organ is supposed to reproduce with the help of bud formation, like is in yeast and hydra, at particular place the cells of that organism at particular place, they divide repeatedly, and a kind of bud is formed, and that bud grown up till the all type of cells that present in mother body are not developed in that bud. So when all type of cells present in this mother body is developed or originates in bud during repeated cell division, then bud separate from parental cell, detach out themselves from the parental body or mother body, and then start a independent life. And this is what is simple kind of budding, right?